What is up, guys? This is your boy Superior, and today I have a review for the Sims 4 for Rent expansion pack. If you guys like these types of videos, remember to hit the sub button. If you guys enjoyed this video, please hit the like button. I also do have an affiliate link with Insta Gaming to bring you guys cheaper Sims packs. If you guys click the link in the description and type in Sims, you'll find a bunch of deals for PC and console, and it does support me. Without further ado, let's get into the content. Now, the build and buy is obviously inspired by Southeast Asian culture, so if that's not really your aesthetic, then you're not gonna like the build and buy. But if I'm being honest, I do feel like the build and buy was kind of on the weaker side this time. There isn't too much gameplay objects. I want more activities for my Sims. I've been preaching for a hobbies pack, and I feel like with a pack like this, they definitely could have added more than just marbles and hopscotch. Not to mention the marbles is only for kids, so it is limiting a few life stages from that activity. There are some other gameplay objects, but it's not like anything revolutionary. Like the animations I feel like are recycled. Overall, it's okay. It's nothing to write home about in my personal opinion. Again, I'm not a builder, but for the most part, build and buy was just okay in my opinion. Now, moving on to the world of Tomarang, it's actually a very beautiful world. The environment really pulled me in, and I actually got lost for a couple of hours playing in that world. And you know, just like the overall vibe, it was very different from the other worlds that I played. So it does look similar to the other worlds, but it doesn't feel similar, if that makes sense. Now, with the lot sizes that come with this world, there are only 9 lot sizes, and the lots themselves are very small, which is very disappointing in my opinion. I feel like with a pack like this where it's focusing on building rentals, you want bigger lot sizes to do that, and this pack does make that feel limiting. Again, not a builder, but I feel like having bigger lots would obviously be way better. And not to mention, this is an expansion pack, so we should be having at least 10 to 12 lots minimum. I think having 9 lots is unacceptable for EP, and the fact that Strangerville, a game pack, has more lots than this doesn't really make sense in my opinion. Now, in terms of gameplay with the world itself, there's not really too much activities you can do. There are open waters though, so you can swim around in a lot of different areas. There's also some hidden stuff that you can find. I'm not going to spoil it. I feel like you guys might already know, but there is some stuff that you can go look for that's there, and I think there's like 1 or 2 fishing spots. Now, the main selling point for this pack was the Tiger Sanctuary and the night market. So with the Tiger Sanctuary, that is a rabbit hole, which is, I feel like, disappointing. And don't get me wrong, I like rabbit holes. I feel like they can add some extra fun to your game, but when they're used to replace actual gameplay, that's when it becomes a big issue. And I've noticed over time rabbit holes have increased in the Sims 4, which I don't think is a good thing. The Tiger Sanctuary itself does have some lore. If you do the statue Tiger Sanctuary and donate, you can get like different prizes or gifts or whatever, and you can also sneak in. I think the Tiger Sanctuary is very pretty to look at, but it's more of like a one and done thing. Like, you've seen it once, you've seen it 1,000 times, and that's going to be a reoccurring theme with this pack. It's kind of like, it looks good at first glance, it's amazing, but after the second, third, fourth time, it's like, all right, I've seen it. Like, what else is there? There's also the botanical gardens. Again, another big feature that they advertise, but there's literally no gameplay to it. You can go over there, view some stuff, and just vibe, but that's pretty much it. There's not really anything you can do, which again is another wasted opportunity in my opinion. And then lastly, there's the night market. So this was another big feature that they were hyping up with this pack. I assumed there was going to be something like city living where we have festivals, but it's actually the lesser version of that, which was insane to see. It was like the watered down version. You could buy the new collectibles. I think it's tassels, tossels, and then the marbles, and then you can eat different food from different vendors. I have to also add, the vendor people don't even look like they're from Tomarang. They look like they're from somewhere else. So that was kind of like, I don't know, bizarre in my opinion. And overall, I feel like a lot of these ideas that they have with this pack sound good on paper, but it's just not executed properly. Like, you go to the night market and you're expecting this like crazy, busy, bustling type of like area, but it's basically dead. If it wasn't for the Sims that I brought with me, that whole area would have been empty. And the night market itself does look pretty again, but it's like, okay, where's the gameplay, you know? And there's also like a fish market, but that's another rabbit hole. So it's just like, okay, so it's just like, all right, now we're like 2 for 2 with these rabbit holes. And again, it's like all these ideas sound good, but they're just not done well in my opinion. I feel like the world is like the biggest disappointment with this pack, and that's where I feel like the gameplay lacks a lot. And to me personally, I feel like this pack is targeting a lot of builders. I feel like gameplay is kind of secondary when it comes to this pack. It's no secret that the Sims 4 has taken a backseat to gaming because building has become a lot more popular over the years. And I feel like with an EP, that's your time to kind of focus on gameplay. And in my personal opinion, when I think expansion pack, I think gameplay. But yeah, the world itself is not a good world in my opinion. It's too small and there's literally nothing to do. There's a few activities here and there, but it's nothing game changing, nothing really new. So yeah. Now moving on to the cast, I actually had low expectations going into it just because I feel like the cast wasn't really my vibe when I first saw it. But after playing the pack for a few days with the new clothes, it kind of grew on me a little bit. I know they did say that they're trying to focus on modern Southeast Asian culture, and I feel like they definitely did that with this pack. Don't get me wrong, I wouldn't know what that would look like, but I feel like a lot of the stuff that I did have my Sims wear is something I would wear outside of Tomarang. I like the colorful clothing. Yes, we do have a lot of colorful clothing with the Sims 4, but it was nice to see like more oranges and yellows, because I feel like the game does sometimes focus too much on like blues and greens. I know that's such a weird thing to like talk about, but I'm a color coder. I like to color code my Sims when I play, and I personally feel like there's a lot of variety. Now unfortunately on the male side, it is lacking with the hairstyles and clothing. The options are very limited compared to the female simmers, and that's been an ongoing issue for a while now with the Sims 4. So that to me was kind of disappointing. I do feel like some of the hairstyles are similar to stuff that we've seen before. I don't know why the Sims team keep making slimmer hairstyles. Now with the female simmers, they got loads of new stuff, a bunch of full outfits, new hairstyles, accessories. They went off with them, man. And I just like, I don't know why you guys don't do that for the male Sims. As a male simmer, okay, who plays the Sims, I want to see more selection for males. I understand why they focus on female Sims. I get it. More girls, I guess, play the Sims. I don't know. But at the end of the day, this is a game for everyone. This is a life sim. I feel like there should be a balance for both genders, so you know, other players like myself don't feel left out or feel limited, because that's going to turn people away from playing this game. You know, we need to see more options for males. I find it disgusting how you guys treat male simmers, bro. It's not right. Shout out to all my male simmers out there, okay? The disrespect is crazy. We need more male options. That's all I'm gonna say. But overall, the cast is okay as well. It's not bad. I don't think it's bad. But it's not like, oh my goodness, this is the best cast. Like, it's not like Growing Together vibes for me. I thought Growing Together had some really good casts. This was okay. Now moving on to the aspirations, traits, and gameplay. So I'm gonna start off with the aspirations. There are 4 new aspirations: Seeker of Secrets, 5-star property owner, fount of Tomarang knowledge, and discerning dweller. The Seeker of Secrets aspiration focuses on your Sims basically snooping around for secrets from other Sims, invading their homes, and digging up dirt on them. There's definitely a lot of storytelling with this aspiration for sure. If you're trying to tell a story of that creepy Sim just like going into people's homes and stealing stuff, this is definitely the aspiration for you. Now the 5-star property owner is pretty self-explanatory. It's just you trying to get your residential rental to its top 5-star rating, so maintaining the unit, renting out, and just getting as much profit as you can. Now the fount of Tomarang knowledge, this one focuses on more of like the locations, something similar to what we got in Island Living. This one focuses on you just learning more about the culture and just kind of discovering different stuff. To be honest, I feel like this aspiration is more of like a tutorial. It's not really game changing in my personal opinion, but it's there. And the discerning dweller is just being a really good property owner. So just being the best person you can be with the people that you're living in when it comes to like living in the units and having a great relationship with your landlord. I feel like that one's a little bit basic in my opinion, but yeah, overall I think the aspirations are cool just because it does give you different ways to play the pack. And we're getting 4 aspirations, which is a step up from what we got previously with Horse Ranch, which was like only I think 2. So I think the aspirations are pretty good, except for obviously the fount of Tomarang knowledge one, because that's more of like a tutorial, but I think the other 3 are okay. Then there's 5 new traits. We have cringe, generous, nosy, wise, and child of the village. So the cringe trait I actually kind of like. I feel like with the cringe trait, you're just being your best self and just not caring what other people think. I find it funny that you can click on your sim self and do these like cringe stuff, and people around like will react. They'll either like it or think you're crazy or whatever. There's also an option to like go on the computer and search for memes, and it did feel similar in certain aspects, like with the childish trait that we already have in game, but it also felt different too. Overall, I liked it. Overall, I thought the trait wasn't too bad. Now the generous trait is actually pretty powerful when it comes to like gaining relationship with Sims. In the gameplay video here, you see my Sim just make friends really fast. He actually end up falling in love with this other Sim, and they end up woohooing like within a few minutes of meeting each other. So yeah, this trait is pretty powerful when it comes to the socializing and gaining friends fast. I do feel like this trait is similar to what we've had in the games. I don't feel like this is a game-changing trait compared to like the cringe trait, even though the cringe trait does feel similar also. This feels like something that we've already had in the game, and there's so many ways to boost friendship in the game already, so I don't feel like this is anything brand new, but it's not like a bad trait either, just something that we've seen before. Now the Y trait, in my opinion, was my favorite trait. I feel like I was like a Mr. Miyagi type of person. Shout out to people who know Karate Kid. I was like a mentor to people, and even with the wants and stuff, it was like, oh, like I want to give some wisdom to like a younger sim, like stuff like that. Even people the same age as you can give like your wisdom to, and sometimes they'll listen, sometimes they don't, but if they do, you get like a mullet from it because it's like you're sharing your wisdom. I think it's really good for storytelling if you're trying to tell that story of like a family friend or a brother or sister or uncle that's like, you know, impactful in your life, and they help like mentor you. And don't get me wrong, we already have like a mentor trait in the reward store. You can use that to help like teach sims a skill that you've already mastered, but this is like more on the social side of things. And again, I just think it's cool for storytelling purposes. In my opinion, this trait felt unique and different from what we've seen before. Now the nosy trait's kind of self-explanatory. It's just your sim being nosy, trying to figure out secrets, and they get positive moods from figuring out stuff. I actually had this one sim talk to another sim, and he was able to pry that sim for secrets, and then I had the option to either blackmail the sim or keep the secret. I blackmailed a lot of sims when I played this, so I wanted to keep the secret and see what happens, and the relationship actually went up, which was pretty cool. So there's different ways to play with this trait. I don't think it's like a bad trait. Now when it comes to break and entering, I went into a sim's home, I snooped for some stuff, got some information. I even made a grilled cheese sandwich because I had so much time left. And I was like, you know what? I want to see what happens if my sim gets caught. So I waited for the timer to go off, seeing what would happen if there's like any type of repercussions if you get caught. And literally nothing happened. Now I'm assuming this is a bug or glitch, which we'll get to in a second because there's a lot of those in this pack. I'm thinking that's why nothing never happened, but that was very disappointing. Again, I don't understand why we don't have some type of police system in the Sims. We have Get to Work that came with like police officers and stuff like that. You would think that like they would patch that in a base game update, or even with this pack, make it like cross pack compatibility, which I think would be stupid because it's the law, like that should be in base game. But even having that would make more sense, and like obviously if you get in trouble, like they'll show up, but nothing happens. So I don't know, that was kind of disappointing. And again, it's like one of those things where it's like it sounds good on paper, but when it's executed, it just doesn't make any sense. And lastly, the Child of the Village trait. This is similar to like Child of the Ocean, Child of the Islands, like I mentioned earlier. I do feel like it's kind of bugged because I had the sim living in Tomarang. I had him doing the Tomarangi introduction, you know, kind of talking to other people who are from Tomarang, and that gave him positive moods because like he's in the culture, right? He's experiencing the culture. But literally the day after, he got up from bed and he was like, oh, I'm super upset. I'm not like interacting with my roots of Tomarang. It's like, bro, you live here, you're talking to the people from Tomarang. I don't understand that. So I do feel like that trait is kind of bugged, and the trait is okay for the most part, but it's nothing like too crazy in my opinion. Now finally moving on to the residential rentals and the gameplay tied to that. So the new lot type that comes with this pack is the residential rental, and overall I thought the new feature of building units was actually really cool. It was a very easy, smooth experience. Also, it wasn't something that was confusing in my opinion. There is also a tutorial for people who get confused, which was definitely a plus. I thought it was very seamless to convert older buildings into the residential lot types. You can rent out different rooms in your entire house or rent out an entirely new unit. And you can have shared spaces where your sims can vibe together. Now I thought it was cool that with each unit you can have different types of lot traits. So unit 1 could have good schools and then like mold, and then the second unit could have romantic aura and good Wi-Fi. So there's different ways to play with this, and it's very customizable when it comes to the traits. Now with for rent, it does give you the option to play either as a landlord or a tenant, which I thought is really cool because you can play this pack 2 different ways, and it's kind of like in reverse. A lot of problems you'll be dealing as a landlord, you can also have them as a tenant. So for example, as a landlord, you would have to deal with tenant revolt. That's basically them protesting their living conditions. But as a tenant, you can start a tenant revolt and kind of challenge the landlord and try to make him give you better conditions. Also a tenant agreement, so how long they'll be staying, how much money they pay, and their rules. I like that the tenant agreement was very detailed when I first used it, and it made the game feel a lot more realistic. And there's so many rules that you could apply to the tenant. So if you don't want them to have any parties or pets or ghosts, you can add that. And if you break that, you can fine them for simoleons, which is really nice if you want extra money. So yeah, I thought that was chef's kiss when they added that. For me, that just made the gameplay just so much more better. Now with this gameplay footage here, I mostly played as a landlord, and to be honest, this was my favorite part of the pack, like playing as a landlord, dealing with a lot of issues, and there's all these random events that take place while you're renting out your units. I think the first event that I got was like a bug infestation. One of the units had a bunch of like cockroaches, and I could either spend the money to get rid of them or just stomp on them. I didn't have any simoleons on me, so I just ended up stomping on them, and that got rid of them. And because of that, the unit rating went up. There's a lot of different ways the unit rating can go up as well. If you add more objects to the rooms, give them stuff to do like activities, or have something like a bathroom and shower, or even just being nice to them, the unit rating will go up, which I think is cool. There was also another event with a ghost. He kept possessing all the objects in the units, and I could either exercise him for money or just confront him. Again, I had no money, so I just kept confronting him. What I liked about this one was when I confronting him, he didn't leave the first few times. You had to keep doing it over and over and over. But something told me if I just kept confronting, he would eventually leave, and he did. And because of that, the unit rating went up. Now, before I give my final rating, I want to talk about the bugs and glitches. The bugs and glitches in this pack are horrendous, bro. Like, it actually is terrible how bad this pack is when it comes to bugs and glitches. Even though I enjoyed playing as a landlord, I never once got paid any of my rent. What was crazy was the fact that I had an agreement with a tenant that they could stay for 7 days, and then after those 7 days I would obviously get my pay, and then it would be like the grace period so they can either choose to stay or leave, and I never got paid. This pack relies heavily on money, obviously, so that you can keep maintaining your units and building up that unit rating and upgrading as you go. And if you can't get money, then you can't do any of those things. And mind you, you still have to pay your bills as well. So there's a lot of money that's coming out of your pockets when you do this. There also has been some performance issues with the lag when it comes to like applying wallpaper. And I've also seen people get charged loads amount of simoleons when they live as a tenant. Like their bill for living on a unit is very, very high. So it's just like, there's definitely some weird stuff. Even what I mentioned earlier with the whole breaking and entering, the fact that no one came at me, like I made a grilled cheese sandwich, slept in their bed, and no one like attacked me. It's like, what? Like, I don't understand what's going on here. There literally is no reason playing as a landlord other than like just for the experience, because you're not making any money. The only thing I would suggest is to cheat how much money you're supposed to get at the end of the week. But again, that takes the fun out of it because that should be automatically in the game. Now, I'm not even sure if I covered everything, but I feel like I talked about the stuff that mattered the most. Now, would I recommend this pack? I'm gonna be honest with you guys. No, I would not recommend this pack. Listen, this pack is actually fun. I actually like this pack. It feels like a unique experience and it feels very fun, but the world itself is too small and there's no activities. So the EP part, which in my opinion is the expansion part, the world, which again, don't know why they do half-assed worlds if they're not gonna actually take the time to make them, you know, fun and entertaining. It's already just like complete shit. So you're losing money out of that. And the lots are very small on top of that. The game itself, the main feature with the renting stuff is broken. So you're not gonna get that true fun experience because you're not gonna be getting paid. And there's also some really like this laggy performance in and out the game. Like there's laggy performance with like the wallpaper stuff when you apply wallpaper, but just also like just random moments of lag in game. I have a high-end computer, so like that should not be like happening so much. But yeah, I can't recommend this pack because of those issues. I feel like if the world just had more activities and the rent stuff was actually working, the breaking entering stuff too, then yeah, I would recommend this pack, but I can't recommend it for the 40. I would recommend getting this pack for like the 30. I feel like to call this a game pack is a little bit of a stretch in my opinion. I feel like people need to sit down and actually play the for rent stuff because there's a lot of gameplay tied to that. There's a lot of different events. Each time I got an event, it was a different event. It was a different experience. It was never like the same stuff. I think that stuff is like your meat and potatoes with this pack. And who knows, maybe I'm in the honeymoon phase right now and I could get bored of this within a month. And it's a damn shame that this pack is buggy and glitchy, but it is what it is. But yeah, that has been my review for The Sims 4 for rent. I hope this was like informative video to help you to decide whether or not you should purchase this. But yeah, that's all the information for today. Thank you for watching this review. This has been your boy Superior Simmer. Stay cool, stay awesome, stay simming, and have a good day.